What's going on, everyone? Desktop's Gaming here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over what's behind me here on the TV. It's the Govee Immersion lighting kit. So as you guys can see here, we already have it installed with the little camera and lighting on the back of the TV here. We'll come over where you can see. Got it turned on now. Pretty bright back there, but it's a very cool lighting kit that actually manages to work by either using the camera that's mounted on the top of the TV or at the bottom. We actually have a setup coming on how this guy works, so like I said, definitely stay tuned here in this video for that if you want to see how this kit works and how we test it out. But like I said, we want to do a review of it today, so let's go and dive into how to set it up and then how the app works as far as the camera and lighting goes. We just have it set to a static color now, but the camera will follow the TV, so stick around if you want to see more of that. Let's get into some unboxing here. We'll go and take apart the Govee TV Immersion kit and show you what everything comes in the box. Taking out the manuals and everything now. I've already removed the LEDs, those are in that little sleeve there. First up, we have the control unit that can be attached to the back of the TV. Like I said, this is just to control everything, what everything plugs into. You can also use this to control it if you don't want to use the app. It just adheres by 3M tape. We have a USB Type-C, a USB port, and the DC in there to power everything. We have the main power brick for the control unit that's going to send light and power to the strips, as well as the camera. We have some extra adhesive here to clip onto the back of the LED strips. We'll show that here in a sec. And then these little foam pads are pretty neat. This is actually what we use to calibrate the TV, and you'll see us do that here in a little bit as well. But to calibrate the camera that's looking at the TV, here's the camera itself. This will sit on top or bottom of the TV, depending on where you want to place it, and actually what is looking at what's on the screen. So here we can go over everything. You can kind of see what all comes in the kit here. Got everything taken out of its box, some alcohol prep pads just to kind of clean the surface of the TV where you're going to be putting it on. And then, like I said, we'll have some close-ups and show you everything of me installing it and using the app here in just a sec. You can kind of see everything that comes in the kit though. We'll zoom out to kind of a full scale here in a sec so you can see everything that comes in your kit. Alright, so let's go over installation here real quick. We got to prep the TV, clean everything off, give it a good wipe down with the alcohol pads here first just to make sure it's clean to stick to. Then we're going to put the LED strips on the back of the TV. So I took some time here just kind of getting them lined up in the corners where I wanted them. Just making sure they were all flattened down and sticking just fine. Like I said, just kind of take some time to do that. You can see kind of how we have them run here all along the sides and then down the back of the TV. Like so, we're going to come back here in a second, put the actual strips on, adjust the brightness up here. You guys can kind of see a little better, but pretty much just running at the top edge of the TV, left and right side, and then across the bottom there. Just got to get those mounted up first. Secure them in place a little bit better with the little 3M strips. Now we're going to mount the camera on the top here. This is a little difficult on my model since it was an OLED, so it wasn't a whole lot of room. It has a strip kind of mounting to the back as well as the front, and then we'll attach the control unit to it where we can get everything plugged in and just run power here real quick. Now we're going to calibrate the camera, so that's what we actually need those little foam pads for. The camera will be able to see those on the TV, and you actually set them up in the app. We'll go over that here in just a sec. They just go in each corner and at the bottom of the TV as well as each side. Alright, so diving into the app here, you just want to add the Govee Immersion kit. It'll find a Bluetooth device nearby. You just want to connect to that. So have your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on the app itself. You can give it a name, so depending on what room you're or TV you're gonna put it on. It'll search for Wi-Fi signals. You'll type in your Wi-Fi name and password and let it sign in. It'll just take a sec here. And then it kind of gives you a rundown on how to calibrate the TV. Basically letting you know to make sure you put those in each four corners. Like to make sure you don't press them down too far when sticking to the TV. You don't want them to pull the screen too much. So it shows you kind of how to take them off and just kind of barely put them on. We didn't put them on with a whole lot of force, but it'll show you where, and it'll ask you if you're mounting on the top or the bottom of the TV, because that'll make a difference in calibration, and then how you actually ran the cable. So in our instance, I believe we went counterclockwise. So just kind of take a look at where you started and where you're running the cables, because it'll depend on for different lighting effects if you want them to go in what direction. And here we're just calibrating by moving little points here to match where we're placing them on the TV. It'll have you do the corners and bottom first, and then it'll have you come back and do the sides. So just make sure these are lining up where those little pads are. And like I said, because you want to make sure it's looking at where it needs to on the TV to make sure you get the right lighting effect. So here have it placing in each 4 corners, and then you'll have the top one there at the top where the camera would be sitting. So you can't really see that. You just kind of go in the middle of where your other 2 side markings are, and you'll see a little orange pop up here. Those are for the bottom and sides. You just want to make sure those are aligned correctly. And then once you're in the app, you can actually control it, the saturation of color. You can light all or part of the TV, so you can play around with different modes. And it has a game and movie mode selection here as well. As you can see, we're going through the app, and this will be a lot of preference and playing around to see what you like. Now, of course, you can do this to sync with music. You can set it to certain colors or scenes. If you don't want to use the camera effect at all times, you can do that as well. And of course, just a brightness and timer, and dive into the effects lab like you can on a lot of other Govee products. So you can still go in and set this up to basically do whatever you want to do. So after this, we're going to dive into some demos here. I believe I was playing some Loki here in the background, so you guys can see that. And then we'll get into the kind of color test to see how quick it changes colors. All right, so here we'll go and dive in here once the camera will get back into focus. So we got I believe we started Loki up here just to kind of run a few tests and play around with a couple settings just to see, how good the camera was as far as what it was looking at. Dive in and let it kind of do its thing here for a sec so you guys get a little bit of a demo of kind of what it can do. Like I said, it does tend to match colors decently well. You have to play around with the saturation settings a little bit depending on, what kind of movie or game you're looking at. We'll definitely dive into some game testing too when we get into finishing this setup, and where we can actually start gaming in the living room. Mainly hyped for this because, wanted to be to play some Doom in the living room. Because we built the toaster PC back up with the 3060 in and everything, and definitely awaiting this for the launch of Halo. If anything else, like I said, just a little more console reminiscent days. It's coming as an Xbox console player before I got back into PC gaming and building. So the fact that it's launching on PC too, I'm still used to playing Halo on the big screen. So it was definitely nice to get this TV set up. It's still 120 hertz 4K TV, so I think it'll look great, especially for I'll probably move PvP back into my office, but mainly wanted it to where I could beautifully see whatever campaign they've woven out to see how that looks. But yeah, here we're just testing it with Loki playing in the background. Excuse me, I had to get some coffee there. But yeah, just kind of changing around some of the settings here. You'll see us kind of dive into the menu system here real quick. We'll come down here to saturation, and depending on how you have that cranked is what colors it will choose. It's doing a decent job at matching the background. We'll dive into a color test here in a sec. You see me just kind of moving that saturation slider around to see how it's affecting and what colors it's picking from depending on where it's looking at the screen. We'll definitely test this with other types of content as well. But you can see it's definitely a cool effect. Like I said, it does make it a little more immersive, I will say. Even if I'm not using this as far as its immersion effect with the camera, I definitely like it for, just providing some ambient backlighting. It seems to be less strain, like even in a dark room, having a little more light even behind the TV. I didn't really find it distracting at all, but it was nice to have, just a little more light back there. And we'll even, because when we do the full setup, a living room tour, I'll kind of show you how I have the lights laid out so you can see, what kind of vibe I wanted to go for, as far as something comfortable on the eyes and kind of fun to hang out in. All right, let's get into the color test here next. All right, so we're jumping into a color test. I just have pulled this up on YouTube. Just a color transition test. I wanted to see how quick the LEDs would adapt as far as what the camera was seeing, and I think it's doing a pretty good job here, and the colors are pretty close to what you're getting. I believe it's still a 1080p camera, so that does work pretty well. It looks like more like maybe a webcam sitting on top of the TV. So, but honestly, after a little bit, I don't even notice it. You can see my camera's having a little bit of issue trying to autofocus on, the TV as it was changing a little bit of brightness there. But as you can see, its color effect changes pretty well. The red is coming out pretty red, and we're going out of focus again. That's always nice. But yeah, as it's kind of moving through the different colors, I could kind of let it cycle just to test that out. It gets pretty accurate depending on, what's on the screen. And obviously it's going to depend on how busy whatever scene you're looking at is, whether it be a game or a movie.
But I definitely think it's cool. It adds that nice immersion effect and nice subtle lighting behind the TV. You can still adjust the brightness if you don't want it as bright. But I like it. I really do. So I love a lot of Govee products. Use them in my office and want to kind of bring them into the living room as well as we get ready to set this up as a more of a gaming centered living room.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed the overview there of the Govee lighting immersion kit. Like I said, we went over all of the specs and features of the kit there. Like I said, it's a very cool addition to the living room setup. Like I said, we have some Govee bulbs and this lamp, as well as this one over here and that one over there. So if you guys like the setup, definitely let me know. Drop a comment down below. Still plan on wall mounting this TV, getting it up a little bit higher here because that shelf's kind of low, even though I do love the Intense Gaming Glitch TV stand there. Like I said, we definitely want to get that up a little bit higher, which gives more room on the stand. Might end up putting a sound bar down. And then, like I said, wanted to get some shelves along, maybe to frame the TV, and then get some along this wall here as well, because it's still kind of bare over here. So we want to put up some paintings, some shelving, more pictures. The girlfriend's a big picture hoarder, so we'll definitely be adding some more stuff to that. But wanted to kind of do this to tie into part of our living room upgrade video that we're doing. You guys have probably seen part 1, if not, I'll link it up here so you guys can check that out. Like I said, but this is kind of part 2 of the addition of that kit. And then these lights here. And then later on this week, you'll see a video going up of us upgrading the little toaster PC down there. Like I said, got to get an AIO on that. Like I said, got a Ryzen 5 3600 in it now, which the cryo rig, or not, excuse me, not the cryo rig, the scythe cooler that's on it now works pretty well, and it handles the heat of that 3600, but the fan noise is noticeable. So I figured with an AIO, something I can get slightly lower speed fans on. Like I said, it would keep it a little bit cooler, we would boost a little more on it, even though, like I said, the 3600 is not a super high TDP part. I feel like the AO would be a little quieter and we could set those fans a little lower, and that smaller scythe cooler would have to ramp up. But definitely looking forward to gaming in here. Like I said, with especially with Halo Infinite hopefully coming out at the end of this year. Halo just seems to belong better on the big screen, especially for the story, and I'll probably end up taking PvP back into the office for a little bit higher refresh rate. But this is still a 4K, 120 hertz TV here from LG, so it should look plenty beautiful when we go through the story. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions about the lighting kit here, like I said, definitely drop a comment down below. Let me know about that. We'll try to answer any questions you may have about this kit. Maybe something you might want to add to your setup. I think it looks really cool, and hopefully you enjoyed the testing there. But that about wraps everything up, guys. Appreciate you guys stopping by today. Take it easy.